Now, I add few more things. In my earlier class, I said voice. Then I was talking about the biology of sound, which means the organs of speech. And then there is cultural part of sound. Cultural part of sound means you go in the language, and language has a meaning. It has a social communication. So when you get into language and the meaning, the words, phrases, sentences, paragraphs, then you are creating meaning for the listeners. And that is where your body and your mind come together. And this is very important. Say, your body will move and your mind will try to speak or give your body these words. So your mind will give your body these words and your body will move. It will move your mouth to speak, and then you can also move your hands when you are moving your mouth to speak, to create some gesture. And then you can also use your head to add to your storytelling. And so here we have this model, voice. For the production of voice, you require a body, psychophysical, living body. And living body has the capacity to movement, but living body is in a society, and the society has created a language. Therefore, 5 people or 10 people or 100 people, when they connect, they can use this coding. This is a kind of coded, you code and decode. So body, say voice, comes from body, for which you require a body. And to create voice, you have to move your body. And then your body is a complex organism which has several ways to move. And then your body is in a society, and the society has created a system of communication. There are several ways in which a society communicates, one of which is language. And language can also be written and spoken. Here I am talking about the spoken part, not the written part. And then language is something out of which people derive meaning. And that is where the speaker's body can also use hands, head, eyes, with the meaning that the body is speaking in language for the audience. So this is how it will go. So I have sent you a book, 40 stories selected from different modern storytellers, and you have to go through some of the stories and pick up one, read this story or listen to this story. If this is audio, if you have an audio, you can listen also. And then after having understood the story, you have to recreate this in your own words. So otherwise the story is long, let us say, but then you will be given a time framework, maybe 4 to 5 minutes. So in 4 to 5 minutes, you have to tell your story. And that is also in your own words. But before that, you must understand the story, who the characters are, what kind of environment is, what plot is there, and what are the dialogues, what is the location, what season is it? Is it winter or summer or autumn or winter? Which culture is it? Which religion is it? Is it a Christian? Is it a story of Christians or of Muslims or of Hindus? Then is it a story of animals or human beings? So, for example, in Aesop's fables, there are animals. A donkey is speaking to a lion, or a fox is waiting there for the grapes to fall. So you have to see in this story what are different elements. And then the author has a focus, the core. So, and then perhaps there is a central character. And then there are some characters who are in the periphery, who are around that character. So your task is to not only read the story, but also think, what is this story about? Which time does it talk? Whether it is talking about a world during the First World War or the Second World War, or is it a world that is of the 19th century? Is it a world that arrived after the decolonization or the end of the empire, British imperialism or European control over the globe? So all of these important issues are involved when you are reading a story. And you may create your notes. You can note down the location, the time, names of the characters, age. For example, if the character is 80-year-old or 70 or 16-year-old, or a baby, a mother, then the role the character is playing in the story is a mother or a father or somebody. So you have to see that almost like you see your life every day. So when you look at your own life, you see that in real life, everybody is a character. Everybody is living in a certain area. Everybody is passing through a certain time. Then in real life, everybody is a citizen. In real life, everybody has a religion. And the religion may be somebody who doesn't believe in God, or somebody believes in God. And then you also see in real life people are related. That is, they are related. Somebody's son and somebody's daughter, and that way. So reading a story must be seen from your own experience of a real life. Now, it is possible sometimes you have not experienced it. For example, you have not been to England and you have not seen real life there. Then your experience will be only of your human beings. So I am not saying that your experiences will be sufficient for all kinds of people. No, even in real life, if I am from upper caste, I do not have the experience of the lower caste. So if the story is about a lower caste, I may fail to understand this character because I never experienced it. Now, that is where research is very important, gathering data and so on and so forth. Now, the point is that when you are reading out the story or dramatized reading, engaged with dramatized reading, is it you express your own being in the story? Do you create your own feeling in the story? Or do you want to create the character in the story like you are a storyteller and you are creating a character? So this is very, very important. Why? Because this is where will come three important theater makers who are in the background and in the theoretical part of our syllabus, as well as the practical part. Stanislavski, Brecht, and Augusto Boal. So Stanislavski will tell you that you must feel the characters when you are telling the story. Whereas Brecht will tell you that you should be detached from the characters, and like a carpenter, you should build the character. That you should use your own experiences only like a wood. So, and you then transform that wood into a character, wood into a chair,